What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, want to just go ahead and go into how us Colts fans should be feeling going into the bye week. But before we do that, just want to say, please be sure to like the episode, guys. It helps the algorithm. It helps it push it out there to more people. And also, please subscribe. We found out that almost 40% of you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel. So obviously, if you guys don't want to miss anything that we put out in regards to Colts related content, I highly encourage that you guys come over and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps us out, and hit that notification bell button so that way you can never miss a video when we upload. And also, shout out to FanDuel for sponsoring this episode. The Colts currently still sitting at the seventh best odds to win the Super Bowl as it currently sits. So obviously, Colts are right up there with some of the top ones. If you guys are feeling saucy, go on FanDuel and put some money down on the Colts winning the Super Bowl. But anyways, guys, obviously the Colts going into the bye week here, week 11 is next week. And, it's middle of November and the Colts are 8-2. Who would have thought that the Indianapolis Colts would be 8-2 going into their bye week? I really did not think that would happen. I felt that the best that the Colts would be during the first 10 weeks, I thought at their absolute peak would be 7-3. I thought more likely it was going to be 6-4, 5-5. I'm sure that myself included. I don't know if I put myself. I can't even remember how I felt going into the bye. I felt like 5 wins was probably about what I thought we would have, maybe 6. So to see this team sitting at 8-2 going into their bye week, getting ready for the tougher part of the schedule coming up here on the back end of the year, I must say, man, this is a lot of fun. And if you are a Colts fan, you must be absolutely thrilled with this team being 8-2 through all of this. We've had some struggles. Obviously, there's a lot of new players to have to acclimate to this, new coaches, new schemes, especially on defense. And for the most part, it's come together relatively well. Other than going into what is in this situation. Now, I will say, for anyone that's wondering, I don't sound the greatest because I'm dealing with a cold right now. Freaking Midwest weather, always getting people sick, so it is what it is, but I'll continue to do these. Anyways, so, might as well hop in here. Again, you have a quarterback this year that, outside of the last few weeks, Daniel Jones was lighting it up against everyone that he was playing against. Obviously, Daniel Jones still sitting at number 1 in the NFL in passing yards and is 9th in the NFL in QBR. So obviously, it has been a great turnaround for Daniel Jones and what he's been able to do through the first 10 weeks of this NFL season. I know the last couple weeks, it has been very doom and gloom at times when it comes to Daniel Jones. Not going to deny that. Obviously, some things are going to need to turn around in the back half of the year if Daniel Jones and the Colts want to continue to play good football. But what he has been able to do, you have seen a guy that just is a lot more efficient at getting the ball to his guys. You talk about the completion percentage too. Completion percentage, completing 70% of his passes this year. That is certainly not something that you can just dismiss. What he has been able to do has been phenomenal this year. And it has helped the Indianapolis Colts offense to get back on track, to be able to move the ball down the field a lot more consistently and be able to score a lot more points than what we typically do. So obviously, you got to feel good about what Daniel Jones has provided the Indianapolis Colts, because Colts haven't had a start this hot since 2009. We've had some great quarterback play in those times, but Daniel Jones mixed with the other talent on this team you got to feel good about what you've seen so far. I'm sure that Daniel Jones has done better than what most Colts fans would have imagined. And then obviously you got to talk about the engine of this offense, and that is Jonathan Taylor, who appears to be on his way to earning another triple crown from what he did in 2021. Looks like he's going to do the exact same thing in 2025 as well. Through 10 games, has 189 carries for 1,139 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns in the NFL, which are all first. And then that obviously doesn't include his receiving that he's had this year, which also is 30 receptions for 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. So again, you take that into consideration. That's 3 catches a game for 260 yards. And every few games, he ends up getting a touchdown mixed in there as well. So again, being utilized as a receiver at times too. The projection that Jonathan Taylor is currently on, guys, currently projected, this is at ESPN's projections, with 321 rushes, 1,936 yards, and 26 touchdowns throughout the year is what they're predicting for his rushing stats. And they're projecting to have him at 51 receptions for 442 yards and 3 touchdowns. So all in all, that means he would have touched the ball 372 times for a grand total of 2,370 yards and would have 29 touchdowns on the year altogether, which, I mean, again, we know Jonathan Taylor, he's on pace to potentially break some NFL records this year. And there's no other way to put it. I mean, people keep talking about some of these great seasons that some of these other running backs have had. Jonathan Taylor is currently on pace to beat them all. And I mean, he is phenomenal in what he has done this year. I hope that he will continue to do that. And obviously, if you're a Colts fan, you're absolutely loving what Jonathan Taylor has provided for you. And then, of course, we might as well continue with the offense. Your top 4 weapons this year. And Michael Pittman, 54 catches this year, 580 yards, 6 touchdowns on the year, leads the team, has 6 of Daniel Jones's 15 touchdowns this year, passing wise. That is already a career high for Michael Pittman in a season, and I imagine that he will likely get a couple more before the end of the year. So he is off to a great start. He's had better statistical years, but the impact that he is having in those receptions are starting to be a lot better in that regard. Actually has the most first down receptions of any receiver on this team. Alec Pierce, your wide receiver 2, once again leading the NFL in yards per catch. 28 receptions, 585 yards. Just got his first touchdown against the Falcons, but again, averaging 21 yards per catch is just absolutely insane. He's doing it again. Last year was not an anomaly. This is a guy that is going to continue to keep doing this. Josh Downs, your wide receiver 3, had to miss a game or 2. Yeah, he did have to miss 1 game, but has had 36 catches for 316 yards, 3 touchdowns on the year for him. Again, the numbers a little bit deflated, but 23 of his 36 catches have been for first downs. So once again, he is being very efficient in how he is being utilized in the slot. And then, of course, your leading receiver for the year for all the Indianapolis, tight end Tyler Warren, the rookie, who has 50 receptions this year for 617 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns on the year, does have 1 rushing touchdown, so that's 4 touchdowns. So Tyler Warren, again, just absolutely insane what he has been able to do so far this year. Has the most yards after catch of any single player on this team so far, has the second most first down receptions. So what Tyler Warren has been able to do through the first 10 weeks blows out any tight end production that the Indianapolis Colts have had for almost a decade now. Almost a decade, the Colts have not had a tight end be this productive for them in a while. Not since Eric Ebron with Andrew Luck all those years ago. So, I mean, phenomenal. Every pass catcher doing their job. And then obviously the offensive line, despite the recent issues, they have still been a good unit this year. The Colts got to figure out a way to get them back on track, being a little bit better in pass protection. But with what Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor have been able to do this year, you can't do that without an elite offensive line. And that is certainly what the Indianapolis Colts have. And then I'm going to just well stay on the offense just for a moment here because I know some people have their doubts on Shane Steichen. And obviously, there have been some game management issues this year. So we talk about the Denver game and how Denver had the chance to win that game, and they got lucky on the fact that the Colts didn't decide to pass the football on that last drive to try to get more yardage and put Spencer Schrader in a really bad situation. That's on Shane Steichen. We obviously talk about the last few games. Teams were blitzing the heck out of Daniel Jones. Not enough protection for Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones has been getting hit a lot. And that is not all on Shane Steichen, but it is part on Shane Steichen for not adapting. He's even admitted that himself, that I haven't done a good enough job in protecting Daniel Jones. And I hope that we get back to that. Because obviously you're going to face some defenses in the back half of this year that are really good at getting after the quarterback. The Colts are going to have to be smart and make sure they are not getting Daniel Jones in trouble. But again, with the Colts being 8-2, having tied the best record in the National Football League, currently sitting at first place in the entire NFL with record and standings, your coach has to be doing a good job. And obviously, you can't have one of the highest efficiency rated offenses without a coach that knows how to game plan, knows how to dissect defenses, which he has done for the majority of this year. The Colts still have yet to have a game where they have not scored at least 20 points in every game so far. Really love what I'm seeing from the offense, man. And of course, we got to go to the defense here. The defense for the Indianapolis Colts, much improved this year. While albeit it hasn't been great this year, I think we all can sit here and agree that the amount of injuries to the defense, especially at the cornerback room, has been astoundingly bad. Charvarius Ward has missed just as many games this year as he has played. Obviously, Kenny Moore missed some weeks. Jalen Jones has missed a good amount of time. You obviously just traded for Sauce Gardner, who just played this last week for the first time. And then there's a lot more injuries that go into that cornerback room that I didn't even mention. And obviously now you're missing DeForest Buckner for an extended period of time. We'll see how that goes. But thinking about the difference between what the Colts have done this year versus last year, right now as it currently sits, the Indianapolis Colts are 17th in yards per game allowed on defense. Compared to last year, the Colts were at 29th last year in total defense and yards per game. So definitely a improvement from last year. So crazy to say the least, at least from a yardage standpoint. I think the Colts are giving up like 40 less yards per game. I mean, that's one whole drive almost less per game right now than what they were all of last season. And I mean, those numbers add up each game. I mean, they really do. And of course, I mean, again, we talk about the injuries that this defensive secondary has had to deal with. And, I'm sure that the number will get better once Charvarius Ward gets back, once Sauce Gardner comes back or comes in and learns more about the playbook, right? Colts are 25th in pass defense. They were 24th last year. But like I said, again, we'll probably end up being better once Charvarius Ward and Sauce Gardner get back into fold. The main difference, Colts were 24th last year at stopping the run. And the Colts defense this year is 7th at stopping the run. So we are much, much better at stopping the run this year than what we have been in recent times. Ironically enough, the Colts are 24th in points allowed per game, which is about the same as what they were last year. They're giving up about 25 points per game on average. But the difference is, remember, in at least 4 different games this year where the Colts had blown out opponents, they're giving up points at the end of games because in that fourth quarter, the Colts have the backups in. I mean, the Colts have played with the backups in several different in several different games this year. That wasn't the case last year. So, I mean, realistically, if the Indianapolis Colts were keeping their entire defense in for the majority of the time, I'm sure that the Colts probably drop a few less points per game on average, maybe 1 or 2 less points per game on average, which probably brings the Colts like near 20, maybe potentially in the high teens. So it's not as bad as it actually sounds like because the Colts, again, are giving up points late in games when games are half the time are blown out. So that's the difference it's been. And I'm fairly certain that they said that the Colts are still the only team in the NFL this year to force a turnover in each game that they played. I'm fairly certain I've heard that multiple times. You guys can fact check me on it, but you still have to feel a little bit better about how this defense has looked this year in comparison to what it was last year. Numbers wise, somewhat similar in some areas, but as I said, there's been multiple times where in multiple games this year, the Colts have blown out teams and are giving up yards and points at the ends of games when they don't matter. So obviously, you got to take all of those numbers with a grain of salt. It should actually be a little bit better than what it actually is. So again, I am happy with how this defense has played. The Colts really haven't lost any games this year because of their defense. I think we can all agree that, the reason why the Colts lost to the Rams was because Adonai Mitchell had a couple of really bad plays that, cost the Colts 14 points in those games. We weren't banking on the defense the defense really wasn't the reason we lost that game. They had a hand in it, but they weren't the main reason why we lost that game. And then obviously Pittsburgh, the defense did everything they could. Yeah, they gave up 27 points, but 24 of those points came off of turnovers by the offense. So it really wasn't the fact that the defense was struggling in that game. The defense really was being put in really bad positions by the offense. So again, the defense hasn't lost you any games this year. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with this Indianapolis Colts team, man. I love it. I'm having so much fun being 8-2. I honestly can't remember a time that, maybe in the middle of the luck years, but even during the luck years, I still always felt this sense of dread watching the defense play. And, just even though the Colts were able to win a lot of games during those times, it was just a sense of dread. But right now, this is one of the more fun seasons I've enjoyed watching Colts football in a while. But let me know what you guys think. Shout out to FanDuel for sponsoring. Again, please like the stream, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. Thank you so much. And as always, Colts.